Hey everybody, Brian Murphy from the Quality Deer Management Association. Across the whitetails range, more and more hunters today are actually becoming home gamers, processing at home or having, in some cases, to debone their animals in the field to comply with CWD regulations. So what I'm going to do for you is take a deer. We skinned it this morning, quartered it up, now we got it down. It's time to debone it and finish the process. I'm going to show you how to do it. All right, we're going to start with the tenderloin, or a lot of people call it backstrap. And what we're going to do here is first take this silver skin off. One thing you want to be really careful on a whitetail, two big things. One, any silver skin you see like this on any major muscle group, that's going to be very, very chewy. You want to remove that. The other thing is whitetail fat. Whitetail, unlike beef and pork, whitetail fat is very, very rancid. It's a very bitter taste. You want to remove all the fat you can. If you need to add fat back later for burger or for sausage, you're going to add pork or beef fat at that time. So the easiest thing, a lot of people will start here and really try to kind of cut that silver skin off with it up this way. I found a much easier way. Simply turn it over and get off the edge of a flat surface like this. And I like about 6 to 8 inch slices of backstrap. That's the perfect amount for my family and I. You do it however you like it. So I'm going to take this about a 6-inch section. I want to take it straight down through the meat until I hit that silver skin without going through it. And then turn my knife sideways and use a fillet knife for this. Don't try to use a regular pocket knife, it'll be very difficult. And with just some downward pressure, just kind of work your knife along that silver skin and you can kind of feel it. Come right through it, flip it over, you got a perfect chunk of meat. Now, since you've got this, instead of trying to fight back against yourself this way, what I like to do is just flip it around, turn it over, using my hand, one hand to kind of hang onto that silver skin. Again, downward pressure. Helps if you're off the side of the table here like I am. And just press down. And again, you're just working your knife along that silver skin. And this time you can go all the way through it, like that. Take off your meat. Now, you've got a secondary piece of meat that comes in on the tail end of your backstrap. You can actually see it here. It's going to have a little silver skin associated with it. It's not quite as bad. If you've got an older animal, you're going to certainly want to remove that because they do get a little tougher. Some people will go ahead and skin that off just like so and take it off and ended up doing something else with this particular piece. Makes great stir fry. It's very tender, so certainly you want to use it in your better cuts rather than, in most cases, just turn it into burger. And square up the ends. I like presentation to look nice, so I like to just square up my ends so it looks nice and tidy. And then you can just put that in a vacuum sealer or butcher paper from there. Any little tidbits, of course, you want to save for your grind meat. Again, you got this piece here off the very tail. It's up on the neck side of the back strap. And again, you can just take that off real easily. And it's going to be really chewy if you don't. You can just kind of cut that off real nice and easy. All right, so we got our back straps done. The tenderloins, the inside tenderloins, are really the prized possession of any whitetail hunter. Make sure you get these out there on the inside of the chest cavity, so that's why when you remove the guts, you're going to have these two little gems hidden up in there. In many cases, you can just almost pull them out by hand, so there's very little cutting or effort required, but do pull those out. Of course, nothing you need to do those. Save them. These are not pieces you give to a neighbor. These are ones you keep for yourself, okay? If you want to give them something off the shanks or off the back leg, but this right here is gold. All right, so now we're going to move to a rear quarter. This is kind of the overwhelming piece for a lot of hunters. They really don't know what to do. It's a big chunk of meat. And what you're going to find when you first get a rear leg like this is it's got kind of a gooey coating, if you will, a sack on it. And that's really good because often if you get any hair on it, that's going to be superficial anyway. And often when you pull this little protective layer off, it comes right off. So it kind of gives you a really good, clean area to work. So you can use your knife a little bit to help get that exterior surface off of there. And often it'll be associated on this back piece with a little bit of fat. You can just kind of take that little cap right off, give you a nice place to start. Like so, and you'll actually find that your hands really, the good thing about a deer is it gives you a road map. It will tell you where these different muscles start and stop. You can actually see them. So if in doubt, just stop and look, and you'll see these seams. Various seams running through here. That's just the boundary between different muscle groups. This is your top round here. This is your eye of round. Some people call it the football roast because as you'll see in a minute, it looks like a little football when you take it off. The best piece on the entire animal, although on deer they're not very big, is this little piece right here. This is called the rump roast. And so what you want to do is take that off, just get it out of the way. You don't have to do it in any particular order, but I like to go ahead and get it out of the way when I'm just getting started. So I'm going to take that, and there's a bone right here at the end. So I'm just going to take my knife, come right off the end of that bone, and come straight down. So again, not very big roast, but if you want some really tender meat off the back leg, this is the best bit of the back leg. Very, very good, high quality. So now I'm gonna go ahead and start taking this top round off here. And again, don't have to use a lot of knife work in here. You can just start to kind of work your way. And again, you're just following the seams. You can actually see it just start breaking apart for you as you're working down through it. So nice and easy here. And you can see there that it's just opening up, forming just nice and easy, very little knife work, very simple, not having to whack and cut with any real force. Just works right off. Come right through here, through your back leg, and you've got this muscle group removed. So you actually got two different pieces here. You got your top round, and then you got this little smaller inner roast here that is attached to it. Some people call that the fake back strap, pseudo back strap, because it looks like a little piece of back strap when you get done with it. So now I've got my bottom round and my eye of round, and I've got this piece that's really got a lot of tendons and ligaments in it. It really supports the back leg function, so it's going to be a pretty chewy piece of meat. It's fine to grind, but let's take off these two good muscles first. So this one I'm just going to come right along the bone here. You can actually use the bone as your guide. Come right down through here, as again, just kind of following the seams that are already provided for you. And then you're going to just kind of come straight down, taking that thing off, turn it around here, just coming straight down through here like so. And that one comes right off. So now we got that muscle group removed. The next one is to take this sirloin tip off, and that's sandwiched on, it sits on top of a bone. So what you're going to do is cut down on either end to the bone, and then work your knife along the bottom, right? So how we took the other one off the bottom of the bone, now we're just coming down the side to get that all the meat we can on the roast. And once we get here, turn it over. Doing the same thing here. Again, following the bone as our guide. And if you mess up and leave a little bit on the bone, just come back and cut it off, and you can throw it in your burger. It's not the end of the world. But you want this one to be pretty. This is a roast that presents well for guests, nice and round. And by the time you trim it up and cook it in the crock pot or a Dutch oven, man, it's wonderful. Breaks down. Most people couldn't tell it from beef. The last bit is really the chewiest part of the back leg. Again, lots of ligaments and tendons and cartilage, and just kind of full of a lot of things to keep that deer's leg really motoring along. But unfortunately, all that does is make for chewy meat, but you can pull that off. By the time you trim this biggest tendon out of here, you want to get that out of here. I normally just lop it right off, throw it away. It's just too chewy. It's going to wind up in your grinder, getting all clogged up and just not being what you want to do. Some people, this is a decision that a lot of people have. Traditionally, I would say most deer hunters would throw this part of the animal away, the shank, the lower part of the leg, whether it be a front shank or back shank. But there's something that somebody turned me on to recently called ossobuco. And if you want to look it up on the internet, it's an Italian dish, I think, historically, where they cut the shank of lower quality meat into sections and braise it and put it in the oven, cook it all day until it just comes apart. Very rich, wonderful flavor. It's a good option for this kind of stuff. You can trim it up and throw it in your grinder. So there you go. There's how you break down a back leg on a whitetail. Nothing to it. Again, you got your main muscle groups, you got your top and bottom round, you got your fake tenderloin as we call it, you got your sirloin tip, you got your rump roast, and then you got a little bit of grinder meat off the shank. So I take the time to go ahead and trim these up, make them look nice and uniform for their respective roasts, so that when you cook it, it looks like something you'd buy at the supermarket with all the trimmings going into my sausage. All right, our final cut on the animal is the shoulder. And this also intimidates a lot of hunters because it doesn't have a lot of large defined muscle groups. Most hunters are going to use this for their grinder meat, so the key is just to get the meat off and take away any connective tissue or fat that's on the animal. So what I like to do is start, if you think of a ridge, a mountain ridge, there's a ridge that runs down the shoulder here, and I like to use that as a guide and come down on either side of it and just start taking that meat right away, and you can come right through it. You should get most of the meat off in two main sheets. At least that's what I like to do, just to keep it as consistent. Again, a good rule of thumb, if you're kind of butchering an animal for the first time and you're sitting here wondering if you should cut that out or leave it in or not, if in doubt, if it doesn't look good to you, throw it away. I mean, always take a cautious approach, and particularly with gunshot areas, because A, they're going to be bloody and have a lot of bone fragments in them, but also you can have lead particles from a lead bullet. So just be careful, and if in doubt, again, use common sense and discard it. No right or wrong. Much of this process is not a absolute have to do it a particular way. Everybody's got their own way of doing things, and it's true with butchering as well. Yep, final step of taking the meat off the shoulder here. We got this shank. Again, you can turn it into ossobuco. You can take the time to cut most of the tendons out of it and put it in your grinder meat. So there you have it, folks. It really is that easy. In just a matter of half an hour, you can have your animal completely deboned. A lot of times, that's as good a trophy as anything else you'll have, is the pride of sitting down and sharing that venison with your friends and family, knowing you did it completely from the field to the table.